Human babies are unbelievably useless. Not cute useless. Genuinely useless. A newborn deer stands within an hour. A baby horse runs the same day it's born. A baby giraffe drops 6 feet onto the ground and just walks away. A human baby cannot lift its own head. It cannot find food. It cannot regulate its temperature. It cannot tell you it's hungry without screaming. For the first 3 months, it basically can't see properly. For the first year, it can barely move across a room. And yet, somehow, this is the species that built cities. Think about that for a second. The smartest animal on Earth produces the most helpless newborn on Earth. That's not a coincidence. That's the entire story of how you got here. The real question isn't why human babies are so helpless. The real question is why evolution let them stay that way. Because in the wild, helpless babies die. A creature that can't walk, can't cling, and can't hide should have been deleted from the gene pool millions of years ago. Instead, your ancestors leaned into it. They doubled down. And the reason traces back to one strange evolutionary trap that scientists call the obstetric dilemma. It starts with 2 body parts pulling in opposite directions. The first is the human pelvis. Around 6 million years ago, your ancestors stopped knuckle walking and stood up. Walking on 2 legs was efficient, freed the hands, and let them travel huge distances across the African savanna. But upright walking required a narrow pelvis. A narrow pelvis means a narrow birth canal. The second body part is the human brain. Over the next few million years, that brain tripled in size. A bigger brain meant better tools, better planning, better survival. But a bigger brain also meant a bigger skull. And now you can see the trap. Wide hips for big babies, narrow hips for walking. Evolution had to pick. It picked walking. So the baby had to come out earlier, much earlier. Compared to other primates, a human baby is essentially born premature. A chimpanzee newborn is roughly as developed as a 1-year-old human. If we match their timeline, human pregnancy would last around 18 to 21 months. Imagine being pregnant for almost 2 years. Your ancestors couldn't survive that, so evolution shoved the baby out the door early. Half-cooked. Eyes barely working. Neck muscles like wet noodles. A skull still soft enough to flex through the birth canal. This is why you can literally feel the gap in a newborn skull. That soft spot, called the fontanelle, is the bone leaving room for the brain to keep growing on the outside. Because inside the womb, there simply wasn't enough time. Most of the building had to happen after birth, in open air, while someone else carried, fed, and protected the construction site. That someone was almost always not just the mother. And this is where the story gets stranger. Because a helpless baby should be a disaster for a species. For humans, it became a superpower. Picture an ancient camp 200,000 years ago. A small band of humans, maybe 25 people scattered around a low fire. There's a newborn. The mother is exhausted, half asleep, still recovering from birth. She cannot do this alone. She physically cannot. So her sister takes the baby for an hour. An older woman, past her own childbearing years, hums to it while grinding seeds. A teenage cousin carries it on her hip while gathering tubers. The father brings back meat that the mother eats so she can keep producing milk. The whole band, in a sense, is raising one child. Anthropologists call this cooperative breeding. And in humans, it's not optional, it's required. A human baby is so helpless that one parent literally cannot raise it alone, not in the conditions our ancestors lived in. Helpless babies forced humans to cooperate. Helpless babies forced humans to share food. Helpless babies forced humans to trust people outside their immediate family. Some researchers argue this is part of why humans became hypersocial in the first place. Other apes don't share infants. A chimpanzee mother will not let another adult hold her baby for weeks. A human mother, within hours of giving birth, hands her infant to a grandmother she trusts completely. That single behavioral difference rewired our entire species. Here's the important part. A baby that needs years of care doesn't just demand cooperation. It demands teaching. If a deer is born ready to run, it doesn't need to learn much. If a human is born as a half-finished draft, almost everything has to be installed after birth. Language, walking, social rules, tool use, which berries kill you and which ones don't, how to read a face, a tone, a silence. A human baby's helplessness is, in a strange way, an open hard drive. Other animals arrive with most of the software preloaded. You arrived with almost none of it, and that's the trick. Because the software your parents installed was specific to your time and place. Ancient kids in the Arctic learned ice and seal blood. Ancient kids in the rainforest learned hundreds of plants by their 5th birthday. Ancient kids on the savannah learned to read the dust kicked up by distant animals. Same baby. Different download. That flexibility is exactly why humans spread to every continent on Earth while our cousins stayed in one forest. Helplessness wasn't a bug. Helplessness was the operating system. Quick pause. I'm genuinely curious. If you had been born into a small ancient band, what skill do you think you'd have picked up fastest? Tracking, plant knowledge, fire tending, tool making, storytelling? Drop it in the comments. I read them. And the answers from the last video honestly made me laugh out loud. Okay, back to the babies. Because there's one more layer to this, and it's the weirdest one. Helpless babies didn't just shape ancient society. They literally shaped your face. Look at a baby. Big round head. Huge eyes for the size of the face. Tiny nose. Small chin. Chubby cheeks. Scientists call this combination the baby schema. It's a set of features that triggers a near-automatic caregiving response in human adults. You see those proportions, and something in your brain softens. Your voice goes higher. You tilt your head. You want to protect. This response is so reliable that researchers have measured it firing in people who aren't parents, who don't even like kids, and who actively claim not to care. It fires anyway. Evolution built a cheat code directly into the human face. A helpless baby that didn't look adorable would have been abandoned. A helpless baby that hijacked your brain to pure visual cuteness got carried, fed, and kept alive. Over hundreds of thousands of years, the babies with the strongest baby schema features were the ones who survived to pass on their genes. Which means modern babies are, in a real sense, the descendants of the cutest ones. Cuteness is a survival adaptation. That's why puppies, kittens, and cartoon characters all hit the same buttons. They're hacking a circuit your ancestors built specifically to keep one fragile, screaming, useless newborn alive long enough to become you. And here's where it gets uncomfortable. The same helplessness that built our cooperation, our teaching, and our cuteness response also built our childhood. Humans have the longest childhood of any animal on the planet. A chimp is functionally independent around age 7. A human, in most ancient societies, wasn't fully self-sufficient until the mid-teens. In modern societies, we stretch it even further. That long childhood is more brain-building time. More learning. More play. More watching adults, copying adults, failing, trying again. Play, it turns out, isn't a waste of time. It's how a half-finished human finishes itself. The price of being the smartest species is being the slowest to grow up. The price of being the slowest to grow up is needing a village. The price of needing a village is becoming the most social animal that has ever existed. It all flows from one tiny helpless body that couldn't even hold up its own head. So the next time you see a newborn, look at it differently. That floppy, screaming, milk-drunk little creature is not a malfunction. It's the most successful design in primate history. Its helplessness is the reason your ancestors built fire circles instead of just fire. Its helplessness is the reason humans share food with strangers. Its helplessness is the reason you can read these words. Tonight, somewhere, a parent will rock a baby to sleep at 3 in the morning, exhausted, half resentful, half in love. They'll think they're just getting through the night. They're actually running a program 2 million years in the making. That same program ran in a cave 30,000 years ago. It ran on a windy plain 100,000 years before that. It's running in apartments and huts and hospitals all over the world right now. A useless baby. A tired adult. A quiet moment in the dark. That's the oldest human story there is. If this rewired how you think about babies, hit the like button. It genuinely helps the channel more than you'd guess. Subscribe to Hominin for more deep dives into the strange, hidden engineering of being human. And tell me in the comments what's the most surprising thing about human babies you've ever noticed. Next time, we're going further back, to the night your ancestors first learned to sleep in the dark without dying. I'll see you there.